Welcome to the waking dream. Welcome to the Virgible stream. Welcome to the best damn Umineko stream on Twitch you'll ever find. What's up, guys? Welcome to the stream. A little treat for y'all. Hey, we got a real camera today. What's up? Happy Sunday. What's up, y'all? So we're going to be continuing Umineko today. Exit out of that. Alright, we're on episode 4 still, guys. As you can see. Let's get back into it. Last time we were playing, I think we were talking about how to how to create magic for Angie, how she can become a witch, kind of. So Angie needs to learn some magic to make her life a little bit better, because her life's kind of in a shambles right now, right? So need to fix up Angie with some magic. And she was shocked that Maria's like, oh, I'll let my teacher teach you magic, and the teacher turned out to be Beatrice. So Angie was definitely shocked about that. We're gonna see what old Beato has to do for old Angie as far as learning magic. Let's go.
これより原初の魔女見習いのマリアと名乗るがよい。
原初の魔女って？
うん。造物主の道を求める魔女の称号よ。今は身の回りの小物に魔力を吹き込む力しか持たぬエンチャンターでしかない。しかし1000年の修行を経たならば、その胸の内より魔法体系はおろか、銀河を生み出すことも夢ではあるまい。
So just a little quick point here. Witches get to do a lot of different jobs, right? You got enchanters, right? That's a total job class, right? Enchanters. Then you got summoners. He called her a summoner last episode. That's a totally different magical class, right? A mage. It's not a witch, no. You know, all these different things, you know, are not equal to witch. Okay, but witches, apparently a Beato can be anything that has any kind of magical capability at all. So you got enchanters, you got summoners, freaking magicians, right? Alchemists are witches too, I guess, because Kinzo's an alchemist, but now he's a witch too. The goldsmith, alchemist, and he's a witch too. What? Warlock, I guess you want to call him. Now we got a fucking enchanter? What the fuck's going on here? How many different hats can a witch wear? Apparently they can wear them all, right? Apparently.
幼き日には誰もが持つのに、誰も持ち続けることができない。この称号は、あなたが汚れなき心を失わなかったことの証でもありますね。
原初の魔女すごい。なる。マリア、原初の魔女見習い。マリア、すごいね、すごいね。
And we got Sakotaro, real body, so he's like Pinocchio now. He's the real boy. A real boy!
原初の魔女、すごいすごい。
ウリュウ。
ウリュウ。
やがては一人前の原初の魔女マリア卿を名乗ることになろう。作太郎だけでなく、そろそろそなたもその格にふさわしい身なりをしても良い頃であろうな。それ、見習いとはいえ魔女の名を語るにふさわしき服装を与えよう。
Woohoo! And Beato waved the pipe that was a wand. Many gold butterflies appeared out of nowhere, grouped around Maria, and granted her a wonderful dress. Don't get rid of that little crown she has, though. I like that crown. There we go. Keep the crown. Endowed with both cuteness and majesty, it was indeed a fitting article of clothing for the girl who would eventually take the name of Witch of Origins.
すごい。すごいすごいすごいすごい。かわいいかわいい。このお洋服、ママにも見せたい。ダメ？
魔女の清掃はみだりに見せてはならない。
Can't show that shit.
もったいぶった方が価値が出るというもの。
And the Great Witch, the Witch's Apprentice, and their new friend Sakutaro had a lively time enjoying their tea together. Tea time.
私は
Tea
こ
time.
んなにも幸せだよ。そしてこんなにも楽しい。
When exactly was this, man? This happened apparently when she was on the Rokonjima Island, right? So it's can only happen, you know, certain amounts of times each year. It could happen like once or twice a year, basically. So it wasn't the last time she was on the island, right? It wasn't 1986. It had to be 1985, 1984, something like that. Like, they're only on the island one time a year, so probably the last year that she was there before this current 1986 period, right? I think.
幸せになることをどうか恐れないで。
That's basically what the magic is. You gotta be happy with your life, even if you have to fool yourself into thinking it's a good life, you know, using magic, using delusions, basically. So that's the magic right there. You delude yourself into perceiving your life as being a happy one. That's what Maria does. I mean, she has a kind of bad childhood, but it's still happy to her, right? And she believes it 100%, so it's magical, you know? Getting beat by your mom, getting left by yourself for the whole weekend, even though your mom promised you, oh, wait, let's go out to the movies on Sunday. No, she's going to be shacked up with her fucking boyfriend for the weekend. She's not going to the movies with you. But no, she's having fun. Maria's still having fun with Sakutaro, right? That's magic, you know. That's what that is.
幸せになるというのは今の不幸を受け入れるという意味じゃないの。
Yeah, it's not the same.
今の
key
不
difference.
幸の中に幸せを
Oh, I just said that, right? I just said that. So, she was going to say that. I shouldn't have said it before she said it. Oh well.
それが
Too late.
原初の魔法。
私は今の自分の世界を認めたくなかった。こんなにも孤独で辛い世界を肯定
You know what else is magic, guys? Clamato. La Original. That's magic. And the Empire will strike back. It's hard to do that with the hat on, but you see it, you see it.
だからマリアお姉ちゃんの世界に惹かれながらも最後の一戦で
教えてあげる。マリアの原初の魔法を。いいえ、教えたことがあったはず。
Dude, apparently they were on the island before, and we had said this to, baby Angie back in the day.
そしてあなたにも使えたはずなんだよ。忘れちゃった？エンジェだってマリアージュ・ソルシエールに名を連ねる魔女の見習いだったでしょ？
ええ、そうだったわね。マリアージュ・ソルシエール、懐かしい。私もそこに名を連ねていることがあったっけ？
Hell yeah, you did. That Mariage Sorcerer, that's for life, girl. For life. You can't get out of that shit now. Ain't getting out. Oh, so this is, Back to the Future now. It's like Marty McFly.
ええ、あれは忘れもしない。1987年4月のことです。私は友人からある奇妙な依頼を受けました。
So this is 1 year after Rokujima Massacre.
とある大富豪の遺品である蔵書が大量に競売にかけられていて、その一部に民族学的にも考古学的にも、あるいはオカルト的な意味でも極めて価値の高いものが含まれていると思われる。
So this guy just sounds kind of like, obese. Maybe wealthy, of course. Most obese people are wealthy because they can afford, to eat a lot of food, I guess. So we're showing this dining room, There's no picture of the guy, but he sounds like he's obese, right? So he's kind of like a big guy. He's a collector of certain things. Sounds like he's one of those guys, right? One of those, I don't want to come out and say it, so I don't get canceled on Twitch, but one of those super fans, right? Super fan of these. Okay, I'll go ahead and say it. Otakus. One of these obsessed fans of the cult of Rokujima here. The people that follow that. They made Eva's life a living hell with all these theories about how she killed everybody in her family. So he's one of those big guy super fans. To say it nicely.
その価値を内密に見てほしい。
He has money though. He comes from money apparently. It's in a nice restaurant. Looks like, right?
87年 六軒島での事件の半年後。
さようです。
Oh, he's not fat. Okay, never mind.
それらの蔵書は六軒島での難を逃れたものと説明されていました。
I don't think he was pictured in the original on the Steam version, but he is in this version. So I always pictured him being a big guy. Guess not. Guess I was totally wrong.
それを島の所有者である後宮エバ氏が競売に出したというのです。
They appeared to be at a high-class restaurant. Angie, me, and a middle-aged man were sitting across from one another in a pair of secluded and quiet seats. Amakusa could be seen by the restaurant's entrance, guarding my back. He's probably keeping a lookout for pursuers from the Sumadera family. That scholarly seeming man from across Angie spoke politely, but with enthusiasm. He's a super fan. He hadn't so much as touched the food in front of him, which communicated effectively the passion with which he is speaking. So he's a super fan, but he's the thin variety, you know? He's like me. He's a Star Wars fan like me, right? He was a professor at a certain university, known in particular as an authority on Western folklore. However, among his life's works, that was only the one with the most acceptable public face. His true life work was the study of Western occultism, Western magic, alchemy, and all else falling under the umbrella of the occult. I forgot the air quotes, the occult, as well as demonology. In short, he was one of the people best positioned to understand details of Kinzo's research. So whenever you hear that sound, guys, that's a tip. So I can go into tips real quick. Let's see what the hell that sound was. We got Glico caramels, peanuts that have been removed from the shells, blah blah blah. I don't remember that the context that was in. I remember the line that had it, but I don't remember the context it was in. Oh well. Shotoku Taishi, or Prince Shotoku. Oh, he's on the money. He's like George Washington, I guess. Interesting. Okay. I don't remember any of this context. If you guys go back and look at episode 4, part 1 and 2, you'll probably find these references. Whenever you hear that sound, one of these tips will be about one of those things that they talk about in that line. So, sort of to help you, you know, understand the Japanese culture a little bit more, basically. Chazuke, Bubuzuke. It's talking about the tea that she keeps talking about. It's time for the guests to leave, and the guest is expected to know when to refuse. Oh, okay. Okay. So okay. Interesting. I like that. So in Japanese culture, you have to be so polite. You can't even tell them, yeah, man, get the fuck out of my house, man. It's been here too long. You just say, oh, you want to have some Chazuki tea? Do you want to have some Chazuki tea? And you say it with a little wink. Time to go, dude. Time to go. That's what that means. So if you get offered Chazuki tea in Japan, the polite thing to do is say, nah, I gotta go. Because they want you to fucking get the hell out of here, but they're too polite to tell you to get the fuck out of their house. So they offer you just Chazuki tea, and the guest is expected to know when they refuse and go the fuck home. Time to leave. Time for the guest to leave. So okay, yeah. Okanogi's like, you want some Chazuki tea? Because it's time for your ass to go from my fucking my establishment here. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. That's what he's basically saying. So that was pretty nice. That was a pretty nice line for him. Alright, peanut shells. Okay, we got glycos, and then we got fucking peanut shells. What the hell's going on here? I remember, Pocky. Yeah. Who the hell talked about peanut shells? And this last line. I don't know. So what is this guy's... Okay. What the hell? I don't see what this guy said that caused that sound. He didn't talk about peanuts, right? It was something else, I guess. Something got updated. That's what that sound means, basically. I have to go searching for what the hell was updated, basically. It might be somebody's character profile. Let's check. Well, he was dead. From psychogenic stress. He's already dead in the world in 1988. Acute heart failure. The Queen of Suspicion. She found it funny? Really? Good line. And all this was for the sake of Angie, who would eventually succeed her. So they dropped the pretense of that she hates Angie in this character profile. She actually is doing this for the sake of Angie, guys. Like, she actually cares about Angie. Obviously, right? She would have had Angie killed a long time ago if she really was jealous about Angie being alive and George being dead. Nah, she sees herself in Angie, right? And she wants Angie to be distrustful of everybody. That's why she's antagonized. That's why she says, "Oh, I hate you, and I wish you would die, blah, blah, blah. And I hope you have a bad life." No, she doesn't really hate that. She doesn't really hate Angie. She wants Angie to be tough, just like her. And which she is, you know, mission accomplished, Eva. Angie doesn't trust anybody, so. Oh, I guess that's what that was, okay. So that sound means the character profile was updated. So now we got Professor Otsuki. Professor at a certain college, well known as an authority of the study of Western folklore, also famous as a hobbyist, researcher of the Rokujima witch legend, and as one of the witch hunters. The witch hunt is primarily focused on the straining of occult superstitions to explain the truth of the Rokujima crime rather than doing so scientifically, as the dilettantes and enthusiasts of the mystical primarily view it as a type of mental game. So, he's playing a mental game with the reality of the Rokujima massacre, and obviously he's a fanboy of the entire occult research shit. So he loves Kinzo.
まず蔵書を鑑定して分かったことは、後宮江橋には民族学的な教養は全くなく、そしてその蔵書の本来の持ち主である後宮金蔵氏は、日本で五子に入る悪魔学の権威であったことは間違いないということです。
Oh yeah, definitely. April 1987. A major city antique shop came into possession of a large quantity of ancient texts thought to have a high historical value. The texts had been entrusted to them by Usuramiya Eva, who had requested for them to be put up for auction on her behalf. So she had these occult books, she didn't want it. She was like, "Oh, let's go ahead and sell it. Fuck these books by my daddy." At the time, everyone thought that Eva had executed the Usuramiya family and obtained all the wealth for herself as the only survivor. However, at that point, barely half a year had passed since the accident, which was not enough for the rest of the family to be legally declared dead in absentia, even given the extraordinary circumstances. So she kind of was trying to get some money in 1987 at that point. Because of that, Eva was thought to have been in a very tight spot financially, even unable to collect from her family's life insurance. It seems that she tried to sell everything of value. And even the books kept in Kubadorian, her location when she escaped harm, became a target of this. So that again confirms that Kubadorian is still up after whatever happens to the island on October 6th at 12:01, basically. Something happens to the island, which ends up killing everybody else on the island. Except for Eva, who was safe in Kubadorian. So Kubadorian's still up after whatever happened. That's all I'll say about that. And when the authorities in the field gathered at the request of the antique shop to appraise these documents, which were later called the Usuramiya Library, they were given the shock of their lives. Shock of a lifetime.
少なくとも神秘学の見地から言えば、その発見が世界に与えた衝撃は、司会文書発見にも匹敵するものでした。後宮蔵書にはなんと1000年以上にもわたる間、その存在だけが知られているにもかかわらず、発見されていなかった数々の極めて重要な文献さえ含まれていたからです。
The so-called romantic side of the occult, epitomized, for example, by alchemy, never ceases to stir an intense fascination in dilettantes. Even now, it is whispered in various places around the world a great number of magic books of historical value might be in the secret possession of the very wealthy lovers of the occult, unannounced to the public. The prime candidates for this are said to be items such as Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, which are particularly popular among dilettantes. It is said that approximately 5,000 pages of the notebooks currently exist, and over 10,000 have been lost. But some researchers believe that a large part of this lost portion may be being monopolized by certain dilettantes and millionaires. It is said that because of this, even now, dilettantes who can't help but seek these spare no expense to search around for quietly hoarded away in unannounced notebooks. That Kinzo had, probably. There is probably no doubting that Ushiromiya Kinzo was himself one of those dilettantes. It's unknown that what Kinzo went through to obtain these, but undoubtedly he must have spent his vast wealth like water to buy them off other rich people with the same hobby as him. Discovery of that huge number of books at the end of the 20th century, books so valuable that dilettantes were filled with the desire to hoard them away, and their subsequent release to the public gave the entire world a massive shock.
この一件によりロッキン島の名は全世界に知れ渡ることになります。そして同時にロッキン島の事故によって未発見のさらに価値ある蔵書が大量に失われた可能性が高いことも全世界に衝撃を与えました。これによりロッキン島と後宮蔵書の名は我々にとって生涯忘れないものとなったのです。
Our memories that are probably meant the occult neck of the woods with the same hobby as Kinzo. This incident caused the name of Rokinjima to develop an important meaning within the world of the occult. Certainly, there had been a lot of reporting about the accident on Rokinjima, but it hadn't been on an international level. However, this incident circled the globe, taking the image of Rokinjima as a small island in the Izu archipelago and painting it over as a demonic island with the mixture of riddles, suspicion, mystery, and the occult. In other words, until Kinzo's library was leaked to the public by Ida, Rokinjima had been nothing more than a nameless island that no one thought twice about, and it definitely hadn't been a witch's island. However, when knowledge of the Ushiromiya library spread across the world, Rokinjima's image immediately took on an occult twist. So that helped them create those witch theories that Eva's a witch or something. And that's why she's she got all those killing murder-like theories created about her. And now also Angie's a witch because she's related to Eva, so she has to be a witch, right? Because of all this occult shit that came down. And the message bottles too, I guess.
伊豆諸島の無名の小島がオカルトの島へ、そして謎の魔女ベアトリーチェの島へと変遷していったのです。後宮蔵書とメッセージボトル、このどちらが欠けてもロッキン島魔女伝説は成り立たなかったと言えます。
It was a combination of both things that made it into a witch legend. The message bottles from Maria, and the Ushiromiya library that Eva sold off with all these occult, novels and grimoires in the library. So, kind of made it for great theory crafting for the occult people, like this guy, Otsuki.
メッセージボトル。
メッセージボトル。
空の瓶に手紙を封印し海に投じるという不特定対象への通信方法です。無人島から SOS を発信するというのが有名ですが、海外の有名推理小説の影響で
SOS I hear them shouting SOS I hear them crying Kofi Kingston, baby. Missed that song. He used to come out to that song. He doesn't come out to that anymore. He comes out to the booty shaking, pancake throwing music. The New Day. I missed the old Kofi Kingston though, just FYI. Speaking of wrestling, CM Punk is back, guys. Have you seen AEW Rampage? Wow. They were in Chicago, they were chanting for CM Punk, and boy did they get CM Punk. So he's back in wrestling now. This is the same weekend that SummerSlam is on and NXT TakeOver 36, I think it is. It might be 35. I'm not sure which one it is. We're up to 35 or 36 now. Who knows? But this TakeOver might be the last Adam Cole match in WWE. He might be going to AEW too. So now I'm hoping that we got CM Punk versus Adam Cole at some point, sometime. The funny thing is, I just saw on Instagram that CM Punk took a picture of Adam Cole's girlfriend, who is the AEW Women's Champion, Britt Baker. So, is that a tease of Adam Cole versus CM Punk? One of my favorite dream matches ever of all time? I hope so. I mean, they are both probably top 5 at least of my wrestlers that are currently active. CM Punk is now currently active wrestler, guys. So, he's definitely in my top 5. And John Cena's in there too, don't worry. John Cena's in there. Roman Reigns is in there too, so don't worry. I'm going both WWE and AEW, don't worry. I'm not a biased fanboy of AEW or WWE, so I like them both, so. Enough about that. Digression though. Let's get back to the game.
自らの死後に真実を告白するという時間差的な遺書としても知られるようになりました。
So, whoever was dressing up as Beatrice, who forged Maria's name on these message bottles, they had a plan, like an insidious plan in mind. They would do the deed. They would commit all these murders on the island. Apparently, they didn't plan on getting out of this thing alive. So what they wanted to do in order to like reach civilization, reach the rest of the world with this knowledge of how she killed everybody on the island. She wanted to put all the fucking message bottles up in the ocean. After she dies, they get to civilization. Clearly, and now people know that there was a witch running around on this island, and it wasn't just her doing this thing one day, and nobody ever being able to hear about it ever again. Because Eva didn't tell the truth ever. Eva wasn't going to tell anybody what happened on this island. So of course, the message bottles was the only way people knew kind of what happened on this island. Or at least Beatrice's version of what happened. So it's very, it's a sick plan. The plan that, requires you to be willing to die towards this plan to actually work. Because the only way the message battle is going to work is if you're dead and you can't tell the tale, right? So now they only have the message battles to go on. And then that just, creates all these theories, creates all this occult, like, theory crafting shit that people went crazy about. I mean, anyway, he's making Angie's life a living hell, basically. But, I mean, that's the side effect of what Beatrice accomplished, basically. Creating that cat box, creating that, like, unknowable mystery that you can't ever solve because nobody who's alive knows what the hell happened from the people that all died on this island. Eva was the last person that was alive that would have knew what happened. But now she's dead, so... What do we think? We don't know there's any other, survivors of the island other than Eva. So, there might be somebody out there who's still alive. You never know. Angie's gonna try to find him.
ロッキン島メッセージボトル事件はまさにこの校舎だったのです。
近くの島の漁師が拾っていたというやつですね。
さようです。式根島の若い漁師が手紙入りのワインボトルを拾っていたことが分かったのです。
Okay, I thought it was Nijima. It's Shiki Nijima. Alright.
この若い漁師は興味本位からそれをたまたま保管していました。それが後宮蔵書でロッキン島が世界的注目を浴びたため公表したというのです。
I would definitely take a copy of it, keep the original, and then give you guys a copy. Like, oh yeah, I found this bottle like 2 years ago.
その漁師による捏造の可能性は？
もちろんその可能性も否定できませんでした。ワインボトル内のノート片には後宮家のとある人物の署名がされていました。後宮マリアという少女です。しかし彼女の遺品の肉質から別人の筆跡であることが確認されました。
That's what I was talking about. So you need to have a handwriting expert analyze the grimoire that Maria gave to Angie, right? Because we know Beatrice, the person dressing up as Beatrice, wrote some magical circles in that to make Sakutaro into a humanish, entity. We also know that Virgilia wrote in there too. She signed her name. as a witness to this Psychotaro, magic circle. So we have two witches right now who are probably culpable in this Rokujima massacre. They both signed the book. So why don't we have the fucking same handwriting experts, that fucking analyze these message bottles? How about you see, are these two handwritings the same? And if they are, then we know whoever was Beatrice wrote in fucking Maria's book, and we can kind of figure out who Beatrice is from there, because it's all in Maria's book basically. She tells the stories. We can kind of figure out who could be basically the Beatrice from okay, let's see what years did she go to this fucking Rokujima conferences, who was all there. And then some people were absent, we can rule them out from being Beatrice. People who were there in 1986, we know one of those people is Beatrice, right, basically. I mean, it's easy. It's simple. You don't have to spend 12 years, spinning your wheels in the fucking mud. Fucking just think about this shit and do this shit. You have all the evidence that you need. I think.
さようです。少なくとも少女より達筆で年齢のある人物によって書かれたことは疑いようがないでしょう。彼女の名を語った何者かが執筆した可能性が極めて高かったのです。よってこの時点ではノート編の内容の信憑性は薄いと考えられました。
However, later on, a sensation was created when it came to light that on the day of the accident, a similar message bottle had been recovered from the surrounding ocean by the police in their search for evidence. So they found this shit the day of the accident.
現場の状況とボトルの封印状況から捏造の可能性は低く、事故直前の数日以内に投棄したものと判断したようです。
Interesting. So before the accident even happened, whoever planned this shit threw these fucking bottles out, days before the fucking shit happened.
また双方の筆跡は一致しました。これにより、漁師の発見したノート片の信憑性が増すこととなりました。メッセージボトルの内容については、週刊誌などが繰り返し報道しているようですが、
Yeah, go ahead and explain it. Go ahead and explain it.
いいえ、一応知っています。
Aww. Well, she'll tell us, I guess. Several sheets of notebook paper had been stuffed into each of the two wine bottles. They were extensive accounts written in a diary-like fashion by some unknown person calling themselves Ushiromiya Maria, it's hard to say that, of the events of the day of the accident and the day before. It was these that prompted the beginning of the Witch Legend serial murder case and the mystery of the Golden Witch Beatrice.
この奇妙な日記風式には、台風で島に釘付けにされた後宮家の親族たちが魔女復活の儀式に巻き込まれ、次々に不可解な方法で殺されていく様子が記されていました。そして最後に黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェが蘇り、まるでそれこそが当日の全容であるかのように記されていました。また当時の島の状況についても非常に詳しく描写されており、後宮家に勤務したことがある元の使用人たちは間違いなく内部に詳しい人間が書いたに違いないと証言しました。
そのおかしな幻想小説と後宮蔵書以降のオカルトブーム、そして結局は真相は闇の中という3つが合わさり、六軒島の魔女伝説を生み出したと。
さようです。すでに10年以上が経過した事件ですが、未だに世界のオカルトマニアの関心を集めています。
They sure would. If this is really happening in real life, man, damn. That'd be one hell of a mystery, right?
いや、むしろ時間を得てますますに深刻化されたと言っていい。上陸禁止になっている六軒島に密かに上陸しようというマニアも未だに多いとか、未だ未発見のメッセージボトルがあるのではないか。そしてあの日、あの島で本当は何があったのか、未だに議論はつきませんとも。
Stewie had finally remembered that he had been going on and on for some time. The man took a sip of water. His pottage was now cold. but it seemed the man's hunger had already been blown away.
確か漁師のノート編と警察のノート編で内容が全く違うと聞きましたが。
さようです。このせいでロッキン島ミステリーはさらに面白みが増したのです。2つのボトルの中身はどちらも事故前日から当日までを記した日記風の式です。しかしその内容は共に前日から当日を記した内容であり、にもかかわらず内容は全く異なったのです。
Neither are the truth.
まるでどちらかが真実でどちらかが虚偽
Now
の
they're
よう、
both fake.
あるいは両方とも虚偽なのかもしれない。
You got it second time.
しかし始まりと終わりだけは一致するのです。始まりは親族たち18人は台風で島に閉じ込められた。そして終わりは全員が死に黄金の魔女がよみがえり、全ては黄金鏡に飲み込まれる。
It's pretty impressive. Just pointed out that whoever's dressing up as Beatrice already factored in the typhoon into the story, because we already established that these message bottles have been thrown out a couple days before October the 4th, right? So, for instance, they threw them out October 2nd, set up all this shit on October 3rd for their family conference on October 4th to happen. The 4th and the 5th happen, people die on the 5th. They're all dead by the 6th, right? These message bottles are already out there, 4 days prior to the 6th. So, it's really impressive that you went ahead and factored in the typhoon, factored in that people are going to be landlocked on that island. Whoever's going to be there is going to be there, and nobody else is inside the island at that point. Already know the fucking people's schedules as far as the servants go, and whoever's coming in. They already knew that Angie wouldn't be there because she was sick somehow. They knew all this information, and they planned it fucking to a T. So it's and then they were able to come up with 2 different scenarios using all this information that are kind of believable, because all the factors are laid out basically. Everything started the same, everything ends the same, like you just said. But different things happen on different episodes, so we can actually infer that episode 1 and episode 2 were the first 2 message bottles. It's never actually confirmed in this game. That's what people usually think when they play this game. And there's only 2 message bottles that were ever found. So we can say episode 1 was the fisherman's message bottle, episode 2 was the police message bottle, and then episode 3 is his own thing, episode 4 is his own thing. Because they actually are kind of grounded in reality, because we know that Eva survives at the end of the killings, basically, which she didn't survive in the message bottles. She didn't survive episodes 1 and 2. So, or maybe that's wrong. We'll see if it's wrong, because they might actually say that Eva is, the culprit in one of these message bottles. The contents of both message bottles describe the events of the 2 days of the accident, but the details were completely different. Both diaries outline a serial murder following the epitaph of the witch, but the order of their sacrifices, the manner of their deaths, and even the tale of the 2 days are different. However, both depict the same ultimate conclusion: everyone dies and the witch survives.
あの島で何があったのか。唯一の生存者である後宮エバ氏が沈黙していた以上、あの2日間の出来事は全てが闇の中です。この2つの日記はその闇を埋める仮説をこともあろうか2つも提示してみせたのです。どちらの日記でも2日間を説明できる。しかしどちらが正しいのか、あるいは正しいことが含まれているのかさえわからないのです。
Schrodinger's cat box. If it isn't denied, even fiction can be truth. Through the media, those notebook pages had of course been shown to Eva as well, but in the end she never broke her silence.
誰が何のためにメッセージボトルを？
事件10周年特集を組んだ雑誌が以前大々的に取り上げたでしょう。あの仮説が今日では最も支持を集めているようです。しかし面白みには欠ける。あの島であの日何が起こったのか、それを考えるのが ウィッチハントの醍醐味なのですな。
ウィッチハント。
ああ、ロッキン島ウィッチハントとは、この事件の真相をオカルトの側面から説明しようと試みるマニアの集いのことです。後宮蔵書から謎の2日間、そして黄金の魔女の伝説など、ロッケン島に関わる謎は今でもマニアの間で盛んに議論されているのです。10周年の時にはニューヨークで国際コンベンションも開かれました。私も日本の代表として参加してきましてね、海外の熱心なウィッチハンターと様々な交流をしてきましたよ。海外では魔女はとても人気のあるカテゴリーでしてね、参加者の年齢幅も下は小学生から上は著名な文化人まで実に幅広い。日本でも近年ようやく。
You probably don't need any more explanation, but he is one of the most famous Rokkenjima witch hunters in Japan. After that, he just kept continually on excitedly all by himself, even though I never asked. So he's definitely a fanboy, guys. As I swirled the thin film of my pottage with my spoon, I shrugged my shoulders and sighed. Maybe it really had been a waste of time to research about the message bottle. Now, if there was one thing I'd gotten out of this, it was the knowledge that those pages supposedly written by Maria Onechan had actually been written by a different person faking her name, and that person had taken it upon themselves to write a cult story, put it into a bottle as though it was the truth, and throw it out into the sea. This raised questions for me. Why did they go to all the trouble of writing so much in order to prepare a suspicious letter like that? With the message bottle, there would be no guarantee that it would ever pass into anyone's hands. And if their luck had been bad, it could have been sucked into the ocean and never been seen by anyone. I'm sure that a couple of message bottles have. That's why she wrote more than 2. Probably a lot more than 2. And even if someone were to pick it up, they might have thrown it away without even thinking twice about it. Why did they entrust their confession of the truth to the sea in such an uncertain method? And why did they write up multiple different tales? There had been one message bottle, claiming that its story was the truth would be reckless but not impossible. However, because there were 2, that made both of them doubtful. It's lucky that there were 2 that the person dressing up as Beatrice wrote and actually got to civilization. She probably wrote more than 2, but it was very lucky that at least 2 of them came out, because if it was just the one message bottle that came out, that would be the truth, right? But now that there's 2, there's a cat box element that is, you never know which one's the truth, but they both have to be true now, because you don't know the truth. So unless somebody opens up the cat box, which you can't now, those 2 message bottles are now both equally the truth. So it's pretty interesting. Only because there's 2 message bottles though. If someone was plotting to make out those 2 mysterious days to be the work of a witch, that was really superfluous. And because there were 2, it suggested that an undiscovered 3rd one, or possibly even more, might exist. They do. In other words, the 2 having different contents was making it even harder to take either of them at face value. But despite their differences, the contents of the 2 matched in that both tales told of a witch. Does that mean that this is what the writer wanted to tell us? I can only imagine that this was a crime committed for pleasure by someone who wanted to create an illusion of a witch. Very true. But 17 people, excluding Aunt Ava, lost their lives, and a vast inheritance and maybe even 10 tons of gold changed hands behind the scenes. It just doesn't make sense for the confession coming at the end of all that to be a fantasy about a witch. I don't need to hear the magazine's reasoning to find it extremely doubtful whether the message bottles are diaries. After all, the amount of writing was massive. It was hard to imagine that someone actually caught up in the middle of a serial murder like that would have been able to calmly write it down. In that case, it's probably more realistic to say that these diaries were written slowly over a long period of time before the date prior to the accident. Yep. In which case, that would mean that everything about Rokujima was premeditated and prepared over a long stretch of time. Yes. So, yeah. We'll go ahead and extrapolate what she just said here. Whoever is dressing up as Beatrice was planning these murders for months, maybe even years. And this is the culmination of those plannings. She found out, when the typhoon's going to hit. That's going to happen at the same time as his last conference in 1986. oh, the time is right to strike. So she started writing these letters, days before the event happened. And, she covered her bases, basically. The message bottles are basically a way for her to lock herself in. Whoever this Beatrice dressing up person is, I guess call her she. It could be a he, though. It could be definitely he. But she throws these message bottles to kind of lock herself in, make sure that she doesn't, chicken out, that she actually goes through with the killings, and she does, She, orchestrates this entire death of the Ishirimiya family. Eva somehow survives, somehow, some way. But, the Beatrice pretty much planned this shit out for months. I would say maybe even years. That she had these, she had the motivation to kill all these people. She had the means to do it. And she, she definitely did it after however many years that she planned this shit out. And then you can tell that she planned this shit out by reading these letters, by reading these message bottles. They go into intricate detail about everything about the island, everything about these people on the island, So it's not something that she just came up with as a crime of passion. It's definitely something that she planned. Whoever she or he is. So the fact that Aniva left this world without saying anything is detestable. Well, she had a reason not to say anything, right? Again, I think I mentioned this before, but she didn't want to say anything because it would probably kill, it would definitely cut Angie to the quick to hear the truth on why these people had to die, why her family had to die, right? There's a reason why Eva didn't want to tell Angie, specifically. Like, if Angie wasn't probably in the picture, if she was dead too on the island, and it was just Eva, she might have told us the entire truth, but now that Angie's, in the picture and she's the next successor, she can't tell Angie. And there's a reason why she can't tell Angie. So just remember that, guys. She definitely told me on her deathbed. She definitely said that her reason for not telling me the truth was because it was the best way of harassing me. I mean, that's what she says. But again, think of it through love. Think of it, you can't see the truth unless you have love, right? So if she actually loves Angie, it's not because she wants to harass Angie, it's because she wants to protect Angie. I mean, that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. But now I'm painfully aware of it. Of all the things Eva did to harass me, this is probably the last and the greatest. And now that I start to think of it this way, it's pretty doubtful that Aunt Eva is the true culprit. Yeah, she would just tell you. At the deathbed, she would just tell you. If she'd actually kill these people, she would just tell you. Why wouldn't she, right? Of course, this isn't because the handwriting in the message bottle differs from the Aunt Eva's or anything like that. Because in both discovered tales, Aunt Eva was included among the victims. So there we go. So now we got confirmation. Episodes 1 and 2 were message bottles 1 and 2. And then the third episode was the Aunt Eva culprit theory. Basically, created by these witch hunters. So, episode 3 was crafted by a witch hunter like Otsuki, who knew that Eva survived, and they kind of thought that Eva was the culprit. So that was the Aunt Eva culprit theory episode. So now, episode 4, this is episode 4. We finally get what these actual episodes are, right? This is the only time you're told what the episodes are. And it's still not told like verbatim. You're supposed to like come up with what these episodes are using these context clues that we just got now in episode 4. So you have to like play all these 4 episodes before you even figure it out what the hell these question arcs are. So the question arcs in order are episode 1, message bottle 1, episode 2, message bottle 2, episode 3, the theory crafted by the witch hunters that Eva is the culprit. Episode 4 is the question arc kind of like explaining all this shit. And then it's probably another, maybe not Eva culprit theory, but another culprit theory where Eva survives, I would say, to the end of the game. It might be somebody else that's the culprit, though. So we'll see. No spoilers yet, though, for that. The writer of these diaries were the culprit. then maybe Oniva had also been one of the targets to be killed. Oniva had survived because something had gone wrong. Again, that's another clue. So the person who planned all this, Beatrice impersonator, Beatrice dresser-upper, whoever you want to call her or him, they might have originally planned to kill Eva, right? They planned to kill everybody, pretty much, but there was always an element of chance on like one of these people actually surviving at the end. So that's where they fucked up here. So the person writing the message bottles, they didn't have any way to predict if somebody would survive, which Eva did. So that's why we kind of get these message bottles being kind of fake, and people knowing that the shit that went down in the message bottles isn't the actual truth, because Eva's alive, and Eva died in those message bottles. So they kind of like outed themselves as like, oh yeah, I pretty much premeditated all these kills. I planned this shit out, thinking that everybody's gonna die, you know, and not Eva's gonna survive. They didn't think that, so they had no idea that Eva was gonna like come back to civilization and kind of like fuck up their plans. But luckily for them, Eva didn't say anything when she came back, so it kind of behooves them to create this cat box still. Because of my hate for Aunt Eva, I believed until now that she had to be the culprit. But the existence of the message bottles was making me suspect that the mastermind was a far more profound and unknown person than her. It's true. It's damn true. Tick-tock, I looked at the clock, and I think it's time for a break. We'll be right back, guys. Tick-tock on the clock. It's time to take a break. Be right back. Be right back. I won't be late. Yo! I can't yodel. Sorry. So I looked at the clock. I'd asked everything I wanted to do. Time to go. As he continued to speak fervently, I volunteered that I wanted to bring the discussion to a close. It's time for some chozuza, whatever the fuck tea that I was talking about before. Time to get some of that tea, right? He seemed to be aware that he'd gotten excited and talked too much, so he accepted this without resistance.
今日は本当にありがとうございました。貴重なお話が聞けたと思います。
いえいえ、ウィッチハントの新しい仲間に若いお嬢さんを迎えできて本当に楽しかったです。今日は歌詞を変えてしまったのでお見せできなかった貴重な資料がいくつもあります。次の機会の時にはぜひそれをお見せしましょう。
ありがとう先生。最後に聞いてもいいですか？
はい、何でしょうか。
先生はどうして魔女に、いえ、神秘学や悪魔学に興味を？
それを言われると恥ずかしい。不思議な力が使えたなら意地悪なガキ大将にも負けないのに。
Well?
という子供の頃の妄想がそのままライフワークになってしまっただけです。未知なる力への憧れというプリミティブな願望は今も昔も普遍的ですからな。
先生はなれるものなら魔女になりたいですか？思うがままに魔法を使ってみたいという夢を今も？
もちろんですとも。この年になりそういうものが実在しないと理屈では分かっていても、それでもなお空を飛んでみたい、鉄くずを黄金に変えてみたいという子供のような夢は忘れられずにいます。学生たちにはどうか内密に。
私が実は魔女だと言ったらお信じになります？
女は魔女である
Obviously not.
というのが
Well,
私のささやかな女性経験からの持論です。
spoken like a true virgin. Angie snorted at the old professor, who was undoubtedly an earnest scholar and unlikely had any experiences with women at all, right? Right, Angie?
最後にもう一つだけ質問を。先生はメッセージボトルの実物をご覧になったことは？
ありますとも。
ではその筆跡についてもお詳しいですか？
もちろん。その道の専門家ではありませんが、メッセージボトルの筆跡に関してだけは日本で最も詳しいと自負していますとも。
Uh-oh. Wait, she actually's doing it. Wow, she's taking my advice here. Show him the fucking writing. At that point, Angie set a book on the table with a thud. She just fucking laid it out there.
これ
Whipped it
は
out. Whipped it out.
初めて見るものです。
He prided himself on his thorough knowledge of all literature related to Rokkenjima, but he looked bewildered at this binding that he had never laid eyes on before. Ignoring him, Angie silently flipped through the pages, opened to one of them, and showed him. On that page was a handwritten paragraph beginning with, "To my dear witch apprentice." There we go. This is the person dressed up as Beatrice writing in Maria's book. So let's go ahead and see if that's the same handwriting as the message bottles. I actually forgot this part, but I'm glad that they actually did this. Makes sense, right? And at the end, there was a signature in capitals, katakana capitals, that said Beato Iche.
それは
Instantly glanced at it. His face went pale. She knew the answer before asking, but Angie asked it aloud anyway.
このページに記されている文章の筆跡はメッセージボトルの筆跡と一致しますか？
いや、持ち帰って詳しく調べないことには。失礼だが、この本は一体どこに？
Man stretched out his hand, but Angie nimbly pulled it out of his reach. So tell him not to touch it with his filthy fucking hands. Take your filthy hands away from my fucking book, boy! It's my fucking Maria book.
ありがとう。その反応だけで結構です。今日はありがとうございました。これ、お約束の謝礼です。
As she stood up, clutching Maria's diary, Angie casually tossed a wad of 10,000 yen notes wrapped in a band of paper onto the table. Here's some fucking money. Fucking peasant, get the fuck away from my book. Haha! She turned it back to him immediately. The man raised his voice, as though clinging to her. But Angie never stopped walking.
お願いだ。その本は一体。謝礼はいらない。その本を見せてくれ。
A little desperate there. A little desperate there, sir.
私とあなたはウィッチハントの同志だけど、求める深さが違う。
I'm on a different level than you, boy!
あなたが楽しんでるのは猫箱の外側。そして私が知りたいのは猫箱の内側。そしてこの一冊はその猫箱を開く鍵ね。あなたには過ぎてるわ。
Oh,
じゃあ
wait.
ね。
Oh, the professor.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
Humbled.
Have a nice day.
Goodbye, gentlemen. Gentleman, you should say. But okay.
待ってくれ。
Oh, you should have came correct, Dirk. You over here talking about the outside witch hunters and obsessing over that shit. Obsessing over you being popular for once in your life. No, you should have fucking kept it inside the fucking padlocks. But no. We're too good for you now, boy. We done pass you up, boy. Voice didn't reach her. She'd already joined up with Amakusa and gone into the car. See ya. See you wouldn't wanna be ya.
収穫はありましたか?
So I mean, he did his due diligence. He did his fucking work for us. We now know that the Beatrice impersonator is the writer of these message bottles. She is also a Maria impersonator. So a Beatrice impersonator, a Maria impersonator, and a killer, and a self-styled witch. That's what we know about this person dressed up as Beatrice right now. Those four things. And then she calls herself the Kinzo successor too, so that's 5. So we know a few things now in episode 4 about the Beatrice person. Who's honking at us, man? Who the fuck is this? Stop honking.
やっぱりそうだった。メッセージボトルを記したのはベアトリーチェ本人だった。
そいつはクールだ。魔女は実在するで決着で。
さあね。寝ていい？あのおしゃべり教授。きっと講義では自分の世界に入っちゃって寝ちゃう子続出だと思うわ。
Oh yeah.
どうぞどうぞお休みを。
しかしうまくいくもんね。あいつ私のことスマデラだと最後まで信じてたわ。
Sumadera family had cast out a net beforehand over any people Angie might try to contact. They had offered a reward for anyone who could detain Ushi or meet Angie if she appeared. Angie had foreseen that and snatched it away. Oh, she pretended to be her aunt. She had caught herself Sumadera, and after skillfully tricking the man by saying her own subordinates would set up an ambush, she had taken him with her. So when the Sumadera pursuers reached the professor's house, there was no longer anyone there.
家人の話では午前中にスマデラを名乗る若い男女が訪れ教授を連れ出したきりまだ帰宅しないそうです。
The Sumadera theme is like a bunch of timpanis. Boom, 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 boom. I love it.
書かれた可能性が。
There's a big chance you were outmaneuvered, asshole.
そういう悪知恵、姉さんの血なのかしら。
This is crafted in your ass. You got the same blood, you idiot. What the fuck are you talking about? It's your sister.
あんなに名乗るのは嫌だと言ってたスマデラの名を気安く名乗ってくれちゃうなんて。
I mean, she's not wrong, though. It's not like she impersonated him. He is related to you guys.
そのうち教授もお戻りになるだろうさ。そしたらソチャでも振る舞わないとね。
He's not gonna like that tea.
はっ、了解しました。
私を手玉に取ったつもりかしら。
No, she is.
やんちゃな子なんだから。
With the demonic look on her face, Kasumi violently stamped her heel. I'll teach you about my magic of origins. No, I taught you before, right? And you used to be able to use it. Did you forget? You were also a witch apprentice, Angie, with your name entered into Marriage Sorcerer, weren't you?
私も魔女に加えてもらったんだっけ
I closed Maria on changing John's diary and flopped down on a very high-class looking bed. Since I had fallen into a pretty deep sleep in the car, it was taking longer than usual for drowsiness to set in, and I had been spending a long time reading the diary as I waited for that. It was a super expensive hotel in the city. Expensive hotels that are often used by the rich and famous have a normally strong duty of confidentiality out of concern for their various circumstances. This made a very convenient place for Angie on the run from her pursuers. The idea that runaways spend their nights hiding in cheap hotels is a commoner's way of thinking. For Angie, who possessed all the wealth in the Ushiromiya family, the life of a runaway was truly comfortable. Of course, as a man, Amakusa was in a separate room despite being her guard. Angie was using the bedroom of the suite while Amakusa was lying down in the living room sofa. Amakusa said something about how the sofa here was more comfortable than his own bed recently. Poor guy. When I looked at the clock, I saw it was almost 2 a.m. Still not getting sleepy. I sighed deeply. Even though there was no wind, I suddenly got the feeling that Maria One-chan's diary had fluttered open. Then One-chan appeared. Her form was no longer the normal one I knew. He was wearing the dress that Beatrice had given her, acknowledging her status as a witch.
もう寝ないと明日が辛いよ。
私も魔女なら魔法が使えるのよね。
うん、使えるよ。教えてあげたでしょ。使い方、昔は使えたはずだよ。
覚えてる。使いたくなった。
寂しくなった？
別に。毎日枕が違うくらいのことで辛くなんてならないわ。
魔法の最初の一歩は寂しいからとか退屈だからとかそのくらいのささやかな理由でいいの。
眠くなるまでの暇つぶしだとしても。
うん。エンジがもう一度魔法のことを思い出してくれて。
It's been quite a long time since I last used magic. At one point, with Maria One-chan's introduction, I touched a corner of it and opened the door a tiny bit. So I should still remember that sensation.
今のエンジはかなり魔法の力が衰えてる。基本に忠実じゃないと難しいよ。
うん。四方を確認。静かな空間を確保。
天草さんは？
寝てるわ。
After opening the door to the living room a crack, I could see the blanket caterpillar on the sofa roll over in its sleep.
今のエンジの弱い魔力では
I'm sure he's a light sleeper
影響を受
in
け
this
す
line
ぎ
of work.
人の姿だけじゃない。声も音も気配さえもエンジの魔法の邪魔をする。それらを完璧に立って古代魔術師たちがアトリエを閉ざして孤独を守ったように。
覚えてるわ。人間の存在自体が魔法を妨げる。故に人に魔法を見せるということそのものがとても高位な魔女の証だったわね。
Getting a quiet space for yourself alone. That should cover it for the preparation of a space to use
次
magic.
によりしろ。今のエンジには自転車の補助輪、いえチェーンくらい大事。
これは当然無理よね。
Angie rubbed her own head. She was wearing hair accessories with pink beads attached. They felt a little childish for Angie's style, but she had never taken them off for a single day.
今のエンジにはとても無理。あの日から一日も休むことなく修行していたなら、あるいは今頃は呼び出すことができたかもしれないね。
今から修行したらどのくらいかかるの？
It'll be about 40.
魔女の修行は幼き日の1年が老いの10年と同じ価値があると言われてる。相当の覚悟がいるよ。
それこそ後ろ宮金蔵くらいに？ピアノもバイオリンも魔法も 幼い頃からの英才教育が大事なのね。
今のエンジェは初めて魔法を使えた時よりもその力が落ちている。無理をしないで基本に忠実に。
After regretfully rubbing the things on my head one more time, I let it go. Then I started fishing through my knapsack, looking for anything that might make a good vessel. A vessel.
これならよりしろにはぴったりじゃない？
懐かしい。それならば今のエンジェでも召喚できると思うよ。それには今主がいない。エンジェが新しい主になるのも可能なはず。
Among the things that looked like good vessels, I took the one I thought might possess the strongest magical power, and set it on the side table near the bed with a clunk. What the hell was it? It was a shady-looking stake-shaped weapon embellished with an occult design. A stake of the 7 stakes of purgatory used by witches to offer sacrifices. Okay. So how the fuck did you get a stake? In the course of their search for evidence, the police had collected a large amount of junk. After the investigation had finished, this had been faithfully returned to the Ishoromiya family. Okay, so one of the how do I say this here without spoilers? One of the dead bodies who had a stake in it, the police recovered the stake, basically. But the body probably wasn't even there anymore, to be honest. The stake was still there. The body probably wasn't, in somehow, some way. But at one point, there was a body with a stake in it. And this stake is the stake that Beatrice wants people to think are representations of the 7 stakes of purgatory, of one of these sisters, one of these devil, demon sisters that are represented by each stake. So, seven sisters, 7 stakes. These are one of the 7 sisters, represented by one of these 7 stakes here. I found something there that I had seen in the illustrations of Maria's diary and took it home with me. So she just went up and fucking snatched the stake and just took it home with her.
気の毒にね。今はもう彼女一本だけ。
Lichan smiled, looking lonely. I pulled another book out of the knapsack. This was another old-fashioned, blatantly occult-related book, but this too was a book to be written in. It was one of Maria Oni-chan's elaborate notebooks. This one was not a diary. It was a grimoire which she had written as a witch. The 7 stakes of purgatory were Beatrice's furniture, created by her and employed only for her sake. But since Beatrice was the witch of Mariage Sorciere, and she would be also employed by Maria, who was a witch of the same alliance, for that reason the method of summoning the 7 stakes of purgatory and how to handle them was written about it in great detail in Maria Oni-chan's grimoire. And as another person with her name in the same alliance, I was also permitted to employ them. Nice little loophole.
マリアの魔導書に彼女らの特徴がよく記されてるよ。7杭の姉妹は名前を間違えられることをとても嫌う。召喚する前によく彼女らの名前を思い出して。
A colossal number of pages telling the 7 sisters of the stakes of purgatory. They described the 7 sisters in great detail. Yes, quite a long time ago. I think I learned these pages almost by heart. The more I read it, the more I start to remember. By the illustrations and identifying characteristics written in the grimoire, I could tell that the stake in my hand was the stake of Mammon. In the past, I had been summoning them without any vessel because I had never had any stakes. So this was the first time I had gotten a good look at any of the 7 stakes, not just Mammon.
マモン、五女。7つの大罪の強欲を司る。すごい子よね。
強欲は向上心、上昇志向、生きる強さなども司る。決して悪い意味だけではないんだよ。口は悪いけど、とても頑張り屋さんな子だし。
そうね。欲がないってことは、つまり生きてる理由がないってことだし。
Very true. For a while, I hid my concentration and digested the information that was written about Mammon. The more the summoner knows about the target that's being summoned, the better. Knowledge brings about magical power. I began to fill my head with knowledge about Mammon and build the necessary amount of magical power for the summoning.
魔導書ってちょっとだけ面白いわね。下手くそな小説を読むよりよっぽど面白いかもしれない。なんだか懐かしい気持ちになるわ。魔導書はただ文字を読み取るだけじゃなく、行間から世界を膨らませたり、挿絵から世界を生み出したりと様々な想像を要求されるの。生み出す力。これを持つエンジェになら、どんな本よりも魔導書は面白いはずだよ。エンジェになら理解できるってマリアはずっと知ってたもの。マモンの知識、これで十分だと思うわ。うん。だいたい蘇った。やってみる。しっかりね。いざという時に備えて私の護符を。今の君は同盟の条約に守られてない。マモンは少し喧嘩っ早いところがある子。
Oh.
あるいはまだ恨んでるかも。
She's about to kill your ass.
注意して。うん。身につけることにする。
The seven stakes of Purgatory as furniture for sacrifice rituals are treated as beings inferior even to weapons. But that is only when it comes to demons. To humans, even furniture is something to be feared. I fished through the knapsack again, took out a bracelet charm with a scorpion medal that I had gotten from Rio Nechan a long time ago, and put it on my arm. I had no need for something like this in the past, but I need insurance.
大丈夫。それにはまだ十分な魔法防御が備わってる。それを身につけている限り絶対に大丈夫。
Rio Nechan's magical power, in particular the power she put into charms, was enough to earn even Beatrice's admiration. While it would only have looked like something cheap to a human who couldn't understand magic, its magical worth was incalculable.
さあさあ、おいでなさい。罪を許しなさい。煉獄の七悔が一つ。強欲のマモン。
I concentrated my mind. I made the anti-magic toxin that filled my body zero. I drank a beer. Imagine the vast, untainted space. Doubts and common sense all resist magic. Make the resistance zero, and erase the burden towards magical power. Inside my head was the image of a vast face. It was a nighttime world where I floated in the air and the neon stars on the ground sparkled. A world where the stars that should have covered the heavens were drowned out by the light from below, and the stars covered the ground instead. In the world of a vast sky with no obstructions, I imagined the wind blowing through it freely. Freely! Just then, in that room where no wind could blow, the free nighttime wind whirled around. That long-forgotten sensation raced through my entire body. The unique feeling of exultation felt when using magic. From Mammon's stake, held out in my hand, I gradually began to feel a pale light. How do you feel light? A cyclone gyred around the stake. The hefty stake floated a bit into the air.
見事だよ。ブランクは君から才能を奪わなかったね。
さあさあ、おいでなさい。罪を許しなさい。
Forget the sin because she's one of the seven sticks of purgatory.
強欲のマモン。
Greed is a sin.
その姿を私に見せなさい。
I slowly raised my hand, and as I brought it higher than my head, almost as though it was being sucked up by it, the stake of Mammon likewise floated up high into the air and gradually began to shake. Its shaking grew faster and faster, then it burst. At a speed faster than the eye could follow, it flew around, violently rebounding off the walls of the room. The terrible sound of it jumping from place to place bore down upon me, trying to make me flinch. But I mustn't lose my mental concentration. I mustn't not. Got a barrier, baby. Can't touch this. Then the snake, which had been flying around at incredible speed, finally restrained itself and faced me. It was in the air just a few centimeters away from my forehead, held back by the defensive barrier created by the scorpion charm. It was trying to break the defensive barrier, eating into it with incredible power, but Maria Onechan's barrier wouldn't be broken so easily. The snake muttered hatefully. You could probably say that I had been saved thanks to the scorpion charm. Without that, my way of killing time until I got sleepy would have become a way to kill time for all eternity. The mammoth snake realized that it had been unable to gouge me, gave up gracefully, and changed its form from that of a snake to that of a person. In her usual shameless outfit, which I would never be seen walking outside in. Although you could say it suited her in a demonic sort of way. It's not too bad.
随分とみすぼらしい魔力だけど、本当に園児様？
お久しぶりね、マモン。元気にしてた？
てっきりもう約5面の家具は何度で朽ち果てるだけだと思ってました。それでこれはどういう余興で？まさか私の所有者が園児様とでもおっしゃるつもりで？園児が君の主人だよ。マリア卿、これはお見苦しいところを。先ほどの結界はマリア卿の？今の園児じゃひょっとしたら君にやられてしまうかもしれないって思ったからお符を貸したの。マリア卿に私の主人が園児様だと言われたんじゃ断りようもありません。園児様、何なりとご命令を。私が必要とされるということは新しい儀式を、新しい生贄を、もっとも私を使いこなし自らの手を汚す程度の覚悟が終わりならの話ですが。
That's an important line here. So we can have rituals, we can kill people, but only if Angie's willing to do that herself with her with the stake in her hand, you know, and slicing somebody's fucking throat by herself. So she can say, oh yeah, you can kill somebody, but only if she's willing to do that herself. Otherwise, she's trying to escape reality and like, oh, I'm going to command you to kill somebody without me having to do it myself. That's not going to work.
その役割は私はもう求めてないわ。昔同様にただ話し相手になってくれるだけで十分よ。ええ、それがお望みでしたら家具は使われてこそ家具。お呼び出しいただいただけで光栄ですとも。園児様。
Mammon had a slightly complicated smile on her face. She had accepted Angie as a new master because Miria had told her to. It looked like she hadn't gotten over her discontent at working for Angie with her frail magical power. Or perhaps she had some other reason for hating Angie. But for now, it seemed that she couldn't disobey Angie despite her discontent.
それで私は何をすれば？
わからない。適当に賑やかにしてくれればいいわ。昔みたいに。
お言葉ですが、多分園児様がおっしゃる賑やかさとは私たち姉妹の騒ぎのことだと思います。私一人では難しいかとお忘れで？そうだね。7姉妹はみんなが揃うと本当に賑やかだったもんね。でも今の園児の魔力じゃマモンを呼び出すのが精一杯だと思う。他の6人の悔いも紛失してる。恐れながらマリア卿、私の悔いを経由し7姉妹に語りかけ呼び出すことは不可能ではないかと。私を刺激されるのでしたらその程度の力は園児様にはお持ちいただきたいところですが。
Mammon giggled. Apparently she wanted me to summon the other sisters without a vessel. I see. Unable to be satisfied with being summoned alone, she asked for the other sisters to be summoned as well. I get it. Greed. Yeah, she was just like this back then, wasn't she? Yep. Place for furniture when it was used. Being used, no matter how roughly, is furniture's joy. Not only that, but no matter how much care you might treat them with, if they are not given a job, that would give them the greatest anguish. Mammon spoke as though to provoke me, but what she wanted was for me to summon the other sisters somehow and rescue them from the world of nothingness. Why not just be honest and ask me to then? Demons are really difficult.
エンジ、無理しないで。マモンを呼び出せただけでリハビリには十分だよ。
あら、一人だけでリハビリになっちゃうの？どうせ暇つぶしよ。いいわ、マモン。乗りかかった船だわ。呼べるところまで呼んであげる。
本当に？さすがエンジ様。
Nice.
さあさあ、早く早く。
Even though she had said it, it seemed that Mammon had really expected to be able to ask this of Angie. She hopped around, badgering Angie to summon the other sisters. The consumption of physical and magical power used to call Mammon alone was considerable. It probably will be pretty tough to do 6 more. I'm in awe of the magical power of those who reach the level of being called witches, because those people can summon these sisters with no more than a snap of their fingers.
マモン、エンジに無理をさせないで。エンジはまだ本調子じゃないから。エンジ様はみんなを召喚してくれるって言いま
Oh,
し
she said it.
た。
She better do it. Actually, I only said that I'd call as many as I could. Guess this is greed.
無理しないで、エンジ。もう
Yes,
今
sir.
日は休んだ方がいい。君は十分疲れてるよ。
いいわよ。
Fuck that.
どうせ暇つぶし。ばったり寝込める
She's killing her magical power, too. This time there's no vessel. I'll have to strengthen the image solely from the knowledge of the Gamorrean and manifest them with just that. I held my hands out into the air, replaying in my head the sensation from when I had summoned Mammon. Come on, I know all the 7 sisters personally. Remember, in the past, the times I talked with them. At least summon Lucifer, right? Once again, the power of magic began to fill me up, radiated as a faint and yet distinct pale blue light from both of my hands. My hands! My hands! My beautiful hands!
しっかりしっかり頑張って。
Damn, Mammon. She's over here getting giddy about this. Alright, Mammon.
ねえ
I see you now.
エンジ様は必ずみんなを呼び出してくださいま
Nah,
す
she
よ
ain't
ね。
gonna summon everybody. She might summon one other person.
また7姉妹は再会できますよね。ね。
Nah.
きっとね。
Not today. Not
で
tonight.
もそれが今夜という保証は
Not
ない
tonight.
よ。エンジ様ならできますって。エンジ様、お願い。末っ子のアスモから。
Asmodeus?
アスモデウス7女。分かった。末っ子から順番に呼ぶわ。
Good luck. A strand of hot sweat dripped down from my forehead. This really does put one hell of a strain on you. The pale light in the space began to form into the vague outline of a girl.
さあさあ、おいでなさい。煉獄の7悔の一つ。色欲のアスモデウス。
There was no vessel. However, with the strong core conviction that she definitely did exist there, I began to crystallize her form. Her outline became distinct, and the form of the youngest of the 7 sisters, Asmodeus, was finally created. Hey, she did it! Woohoo! It's Asmo!
色欲のアスモデウス。ここに。ここはどこ？私は生きてるの？アスモ！よかった。マモン姉さん。ここは一体。私を呼び出したのは誰なの？エンジ様が。エンジ様が私たちをみんな蘇らせてくれるって。
No, I didn't. I didn't say that shit. That's lying, bitch.
ありがとう。次はベルゼをお願いします。
Belzy? Belphegor?
ベルゼブ
Beelzebub, okay.
6女。暴食のベルゼブ。さあさあ、おいでなさい。
If I keep on like this, I wonder how many I can summon. If I lose my concentration, that'll probably be it. You gotta concentrate, girl. The pale light made an outline and formed into Beelzebub.
暴食のベルゼブブ。ここに。
Hey, she's there.
ベルゼ
Belzy!
エンジ様、すごいすごい。
Mammon and Asmodeus jumped on Beelzebub, celebrating their reunion. Summoning 3 people at once, my head was throbbing. Without resting, I summoned the next one. Let's keep going. There's Belphegor. Okay. Knew she was in there too. There's Belphi. That's probably my favorite. I like Mammon too, but Belphi is my favorite. At least you don't do Satan. She's not gonna be able to do that. She got the headache now. That's what she said. Yeah, you're done, girl. You're done. Take a nap.
よせ、マモ。今のエンジェ様には我らの召喚は負担を強いている。エンジェ様。
That's why Belphegor is the best.
ご無理をなさりませんよ。
私は嫌。エンジ様は約束したもん。また私たちみんなと遊んでくれるって。
No, I did.
エンジ様、みんなとまた会えるって。
She didn't say that at all. What the hell are you talking about?
すぐに会えるって約束した。
Are you dreaming? What? Such a pushover, Angie. Okay.
だから守って。じゃないと私は今日までそれを忘れていたエンジ様を許さない。
What? What is she talking about? No, she ain't gonna do Satan. She ain't gonna do Satan. My mind was starting to get hazy, but I'll call. I might have forgotten those days. I may not have thought of them as anything but sadness and loneliness. Certainly, slightly the short time I spent with these girls was without a doubt fun. You can't get Satan. She got Satan! Oh, she got Satan.
何やってるのよ、あんたたち。私たちが井戸端会議をするだけでどれだけエンジ様に負担をかけてるか分かってんの？
Satan knows. Satan, who had apparently figured out the situation immediately after being summoned, yelled out in a loud voice, telling her sisters off. That loud voice made my consciousness fade again.
私たちはベアトリーチェ様より休むことを許された役目を終えた家具なのよ。再びお役に立てる機会を賜るどころか新しい主人の負担になるなんて、そんなの家具の直れ。早く姿を消しなさい。
サタン姉の言う通りだ。姿を消す。お前たちも姿を消せ。それがこの瞬間一番エンジェ様のお役に立てる。
There you go. Belphegor knows, Satan knows.
私は嫌よ。
Mammon does not.
みんなを呼び出してもらえるまでは嫌。私も嫌。お腹すいた。
Yeah, Beelzebub is like a little version of fucking Mammon.
じゃなくて、やっと再会したばかりなのに、もう帰るなんて嫌。
Time for you to go to sleep, girl.
わがまま言ってんじゃないわよ。
Exactly.
ほら、とっとと姿を消す。ほら、アスモ、さっさと消えなさい。
サタン姉さんがいるんだ。いつも末っ子からなんてずるい。実に賑やかな退屈。もう十分だよ。今のエンジには限界を超えてる。
Came close.
そう。
You had 5 of the 7. Situation where I had summoned 5 of them and they were messing around as they pleased. It's placing a far too heavy load on me currently with my meager magic power. This is it. Make no mistake where you are. This is it. And she fell down. As my consciousness grew distant, I collapsed into bed. Mammon's pissed off now, isn't she? Have beds always felt this soft? It seemed that the sisters were still squabbling together as much as they liked. For a way to kill time until drowsiness came to get me, this will do. Feeling something warm and nostalgic in the sisters' liveliness, I sank into a world of deep sleep. At the entrance to my dream world, I felt Maria, Onechan, and Sakutaro waiting for me. Sakutaro?
お疲れ様。そして、頑張ったね。
頑張ったね。
ウリュウ。
What are you?
おかえり、エンジェ。
Welcome back, huh? Then I should respond like this. Oh, Kairi. Got to be home like Kairi. Good job, Angie. Good job pretending to be summoning these 7 stakes in make-believe land. So now she's conflicted now. So Angie is trying to argue against witchcraft, but yet in the reality and the present, she's trying to be a mage. She's trying to be a person who summons magical beings, right? So now she's pulled in 2 different directions. She wants to be with Battler and argue for the human side against Beatrice, but now she's learning magic from Beatrice. From Beatrice's Mariage Sorciere group members, like Maria, like, I forget who else is in there, actually. Maybe Eva Beatrice, possibly. Virgilia seems to be in there. Definitely Beatrice, right? So we're gonna see what happens there, but we're gonna go take a quick break here before we see what else happens here. So, BRB. Alright. That's right. This once in the past, I underwent training in order to step into the world of witches. I accepted that the only power which could save me from my sad, painful days at St. Lucia's Academy was the thing called magic, and I received Maria Onei-chan's introduction to the basics.
広大な空間を峠のドライブインから麓を見下ろした時の風景。
I projected that scene from memory into my mental mind, into my mental world. Normal little girls get over their admiration of magical girls during elementary school. Training in absolute earnest to use magic at this age, I have to say I'm embarrassed of myself. But even that embarrassed emotion felt pleasant to me now. Right now, I was learning mental concentration from Maria Onei-chan in order to use magic. But it wasn't going very well. It was about as hopeless as going to a person who could wiggle their ears, asking them how to do it, and expecting to learn anything at all from a demonstration. It seems that you need to imagine a vast space to gain the mental concentration for using magic. So I remembered the time from my younger days when my family had gone on a small vacation. And I looked down towards the base of a mountain from a viewing platform at a rest stop on the peak. And I tried painting this scene in my mental world. Okay.
まだまだ狭い。もっともっと広い空間をイメージして。そして、エンジェだけの心象世界を作り上げるの。まだまだイメージが霞んでる。空気に温度もないし、風もない。匂いもない。まだまだ世界が希薄。それらは後でもいいから、今はとにかくもっと広い世界をイメージして。ウリュウ、どうして広い空間のイメージが必要なの？人間の体内には生まれながらにして魔法を妨げる毒素があるんだよ。その毒素を浄化しないと魔法はうまく使えないの。そのために有効な方法の一つが広大な空間をイメージすることなんだよ。さっきは飛行機の窓から見た世界を思い描いたけど、それもダメだったわ。
Need a desert. Come on now.
もっと広大な世界なんて見当もつかない。ならマリアの持つ広大な世界をエンジェにも教えてあげればいいよ。そしたらエンジェにもイメージがしやすくなるんじゃない？ウリュウ。
There you go.
そうね。私もお姉ちゃんはどんな世界をイメージして魔法を使ってるのか興味があるわ。私もそれを参考にする。ダメだよ。心象世界は広大で、そして孤独じゃないといけないの。自分以外に一切遮るものがない世界だから、その世界を人に教えたらその世界は孤独ではなくなってしまう。
True.
だから心象世界は誰にも明かしちゃダメなの。だからエンジェも上手に心象世界を描けたら、それは自分だけの秘密の世界にするんだよ。ウリュウ、マリアケチンボ。ありがとう、サク太郎。修行に近道なしってわけだわ。努力してみる。大丈夫。ヒントは十分もらえてるわ。ウリュウ、エンジェ、頑張れ。
I'd come to think that there was no way I could be saved by something like magic. After all, magic doesn't exist in this world. The kind of thing should be nothing more than a fantasy, a delusion, a daydream. Yes, yes, and yes. However, Maria Onei-chan has showed that she could fulfill her own world with happiness using a power that was impossible for me. I had been looking down on that happiness as an empty happiness. I had been denying it all, thinking that because I didn't accept magic, I couldn't accept the happiness that came from it either. I mean, it is real happiness, right? Even if it's magic. But Maria Onei-chan's world grew happier and happier. In the past, I had disparaged it, calling it painful to look at. But that might have been nothing more than jealousy. Jealousy! It was time for me to admit that. And doing so was my first step in my search for happiness. A vast space. A dry wind that can blow unobstructed by everything. let me feel that wind blowing through my hair. My beautiful hair. Oh yes, even the ground might block me as I am now. Then I don't need it. Push the ground away, downwards, downwards. In other words, it was as though I had floated up, leaving the ground far behind. After pushing it further and further downwards, the ground grew foggy and faint, and for the first time I began to feel the sky. Feel it! Feel that sky. I feel it. It feels great. It tastes great too. Then I understood its vastness. In that instant, I felt the vivid wind pass straight through my body, and in other words, blow through without any resistance. I see a house from here. I see my house from here.
そう、その感覚を維持して。
ええ、わかる。すべての妨げから解放されてるのが。
Okay.
やった、エンジェ。
You're doing it, Angie! You're doing it,
魔女の世界への最初の第一歩を踏み出した。
これが
Angie! Cheers to that.
魔女の世界。
じゃあ、エンジェがずっと望んできた魔法を練習してみよう。お友達を呼び出す魔法。エンジェを寂しさから救い出してくれる味方を作り、それによって幸せになる魔法。エンジェにも僕みたいなお友達が呼び出せるの？うりゅうりゅう今のエンジェにはゼロの海からサクタロほどの友達を呼び出すにはまだ最初は呼び出しやすい友達から練習しよう。
最初は何を？
エンジェはマリアージュ・ソルシエールの魔女だから、同盟の魔女が刺激する存在はエンジェもまた刺激することが許される。
Summon the bunny girls. Summon Chapter 45.
例えばサクタロは私の友達だけど、同じ同盟のエンジェにとっても友達で、そして召喚することができる。今度試しにサクタロを呼び出してみて。寂しくて辛い時、サクタロがきっと元気づけてくれるよ。
Alright. You can call Sakutaro being employed by One-chan. So as a witch in the same alliance as One-chan, it's also possible for you to summon Sakutaro. I met Sakutaro's gaze. What a joy it would have been to have him just sitting there by my pillow. So he can talk to me a bit on lonely nights.
私が呼びかけたら、あなたが現れて話す。
ウリュウ、エンジェが呼び出してくれるのを楽しみにしてる。ウリュウリュウリュウ。
Looking happy, Sakutaro playfully pressed and rubbed his head against me like a cat. Suddenly getting this cute younger brother left me feeling a bit confused, a bit embarrassed, and a bit happy. Hippie! Unable to understand why I hadn't been able to honestly accept this feeling, I felt tears well up into my eyes.
お姉ちゃん、私頑張るわ。
じゃあ練習をしてみよう。同じ同盟の魔女ベアトリーチェの家具を呼び出してみよう。
Alright.
ベアトリーチェの家具。
Okay, this is the conflict of interest here. So now she's going to be summoning Beatrice's furniture, even though she's trying to, like, you know, deny Beatrice's existence in the meta world. Okay. That's a good thing to do, right? You think? You're gonna, like, practice magic with Beatrice, but then you're gonna deny her being a witch by the same breath. I mean, doesn't make any sense, Angie, right? Hearing Beatrice's name mentioned gave me a slight strange feeling. When it came to the crime on Rokenjima, the public had made a lot of noise about it being a witch's sacrificial ritual or something like that. And that witch was Beatrice. So if the culprit of that crime was a witch, it would mean that this very woman was the culprit who took away my family. However, according to Maria Nichan, Beatrice was a good witch. If I held negative emotions towards Beatrice, she would get mad, argue with me, and call me mean, and refuse to talk to me for a while. So let's break this down a little bit. this is the Maria of the book, Maria of the diary, right? So let's say, for instance, there's a person dressing up as Beatrice who wants Maria as an accomplice, but she wants Maria as an unwitting accomplice to these murders. So she's gonna be Maria's best friend, right? And we've already established that the Beatrice has planned these murders out for years in advance, for months in advance. So she's gonna be befriending Maria and a lot of other people on the island that she knows are gonna come back to the island for this conference. So once Maria gets there in 1986, Beatrice is gonna play her like a fiddle and like, oh yeah, you're part of this marriage sorcery pact that I have with you and Angie. Angie's not here, so now you're gonna have to do some work for me because Angie's not here. And set up these fucking idiots in these closed room murders. We're gonna pretend that we're gonna murder them, but we're not gonna really murder them, right? That's what she's probably saying to Maria to get her to be an accomplice to these murders. And once the murders actually happen, we're just gonna send these eyes to the Golden Land and like they're gonna all resurrect because we're all mages, right? We can create magic that'll resurrect everybody that dies. So you don't have to worry about people dying, Maria. I'm Beatrice and I know what I'm talking about because I'm your friend, right? This is how she got Maria to fucking, be an accomplice to murder, basically. So I think Andy realizes this, and she knows like Beatrice is a bad witch, but that the Maria that she's seeing, that she's manifesting right now with her magic, still believes that Beatrice is a good witch, that Beatrice is on her side, because she hasn't been killed yet by Beatrice, right? She will in 1986, but she hasn't yet in this magical version of Maria. So we have to be nice, we have to play nice with Beatrice and kind of use her for our own end goals of being able to create magic and shit. So that's what's going on here. Beatrice is a necessary evil in Angie's life, but she doesn't really buy into the evil fucking witch fucking persona that Beatrice is. So it's not like she's going against Battler in the human side. She's actually using Beatrice to try to get closer to Maria. That's pretty much what she's doing now. Hopefully, hopefully she's not a treacherous bitch is trying to go against Battler by picking Beatrice over Battler. Hopefully. I don't know. We don't know yet, right? We don't know yet. One-chan was my only close friend right now. And so to avoid worsening the mood of my close friend, I had decided to think of Beatrice as nothing more than an One-chan's magic master. And anyway, my belief is that the crime was a murder plot hatched by Aunt Eva. But Aunt Eva. Someday I'm definitely going to bring that all to light. It's not Eva. It's not Eva, girl. Yeah, you're getting distracted. One-chan's really something. She instantly noticed that I was being overcome with idle thoughts. After shaking my head just once, I reimagined the wind blowing through the vast sky. Let's fucking fly, dude. I'm about to kick your ass. I'm about to drop kick this fly. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. I'll get you.
なんだか物騒な名前ね。でもとっても賑やかで楽しい子たちだよ。エンジェの新しいお友達になってくれるかもしれない。まずは私が呼び出してみせるね。見てて。
Maria One-chan lifted both hands to the level of their head and quietly unified her mind. A state that I could not attain without meditating for a long period of time, she reached in the span of a few quick breaths. And the pale blue light began to gather in her palms, and one by one, the girls began to show themselves. One, two, three. 4, 5, 6, 7. The way they were summoned one after another in a line was overwhelmingly impressive. Incredible! Unbelievable! The 7 Sisters of Purgatory, just like the illustrations in One-chan's Grimoire. The younger sisters were behind the eldest, Lucifer, who saluted One-chan.
煉獄の7姉妹、ここにマリア卿、ご無沙汰を申し上げております。
久しぶりだね。みんなも元気？
我ら家具は刺激されてこそ家具。久しぶりのお呼び出しを心より光栄に思います。
サク太郎！お久しぶり！相変わらず美味しいじゃなかった。かわいい。私が一番。今日もふかふかプニプニしててかわいい。私にも抱かせて、私にも抱かせて。ウリュウ、苦しい。僕は逃げないから離してみんな。
こら、あんたたち！マリア卿の家具を壊す気？とにかく離れなさいよ。抱きしめるの禁止。そう言ってるサタン姉が一番抱きしめたがってるよ。私は別にあんなふかふかのプニプニのワフワフなんて興味ないんだから。こら、マリア卿とエンジェ様の御前よ。静かになさい、この愚昧ども。
They were so energetic. The sudden burst of activity as soon as they appeared left me stunned. And even greater than that was my surprise that the innocent Sakutaro was on such good terms with the Seven Sisters.
意外。サク太郎があんな物騒な連中にこんなに可愛がられてるなんて。同じ同盟の仲間たちだもん。怖くなんかないよ。でも万が一彼女らの機嫌を損ねちゃったら、サク太郎あっという間にやられちゃう。
Sakutaro had them for breakfast.
大丈夫。同盟の魔女とその家具はみんな仲良しなの。だからサク太郎も安心して遊べるの。それはもちろん私やエンジェも同じだよ。
One of the treaties of Mariage Sorciere. So the accent's on the first D. So it's Sorciere. Sorciere. That is an Italian sounding thing, isn't it? Mariage Sorciere. Mutual non-aggression and non-interference. Member witches must respect each other's magics and creations. Even the sisters, who are normally extremely combative and dangerous, interacted with fellow alliance members as friends. So to the Seven Sisters, Sakutaro was a common friend. Hey friend. Hahaha. He was loved by all the Seven Sisters, and they were even trying to steal him away from each other. Seeing as they all surrounded him and loved him was actually a bit charming.
なるほど。マリアージュ・ソルシエルの仲間同士なのね。
At a glance, you'd think that Sakutaro's easygoing atmosphere and the Seven Sisters' unsettling one would be like water and oil. It looked like they'd never be compatible, and yet they were interacting in such a friendly way as if it was completely natural. If all the peoples in the world could be joined in this wonderful alliance, I wonder if the whole world could immediately become friends.
七姉妹のみんな聞いて。今エンジェは魔法の修行中なの。だからみんなの力を貸してほしいの。
かしこまりました、マリア卿。しかし具体的には何を？
君たちを権限させる魔力を私からエンジェに移す。その状態でいつも彼女の身近にいてあげてほしいの。彼女の話し相手になったりしてあげるだけでいい。
恐れながらエンジェ様の魔力では私たち七姉妹すべてを四六時中呼び出し続けるのは容易なことではないかと。
The eldest sister Lucifer gauged my reaction as she advised us, speaking reservedly, and so she was saying that the burden might be too heavy for me at this point in time.
そういう修行なの。エンジェはみんなが想像しているより最初っぴり辛いかなとは思うけど、 今のエンジェなら挑戦する価値はあると思う。エンジェ、今から彼女たちを権限させる魔力を君に切り替える。つまりエンジェが呼び出したのと同じ状態になるの。
So what Maria and Nate-chan was trying to say was something like this. To keep the Seven Sisters manifested, you are burdened continuously with a significant amount of magical power. Maybe you could say it was like training while wearing weighted wristbands.
ウリュウ、
Who do you?
七姉妹全員はかなり大変。
I don't know if she can do it
エ
here.
ンジェ、いきなりは厳しくない？
ありがとう、サク太郎。でも魔女になるための修行だしね。やれるところまでやってみるわ。
Seven of them certainly do seem boisterous, but even if they are doing it for the sake of my training, having them be with me surely will distract me from my loneliness at least a little. I understood that it will be an ordeal, but before anything else, I went to give it a shot.
もしも辛かったら無理をしないでね。みんなもエンジェが辛そうだったら加減してあげて。
かしこまりました。わかったね、あんたたち。それではエンジ様、これより我ら煉獄の七姉妹はマリア卿、お願いいたします。
じゃあエンジェ、始めてもいい？
Oops.
いいわ。ちょっと緊張する。
ウリュウ、いきなりは辛いかも。頭痛になりそうだったらすぐに魔力を減らしてね。じゃあ魔力ソースをエンジェに移すよ。
Here we go. Here comes the money! Here we go. Instantly, the inside of my head felt very heavy. Yes, it's tough! Until then, the inside of my head had been used only for myself. It was almost as like it was now also being used for 7 other people. Their mere presence there, blinking or even letting out a single breath, was placing an enormous weight on the inside of my mind. Of my head. So, quickly, when you're manifesting 7 other people here, you gotta, like, pretty much use their brain power for 7 other people. If you're imagining people in the room with you, you know, they're blinking, they're breathing, you know, they're talking, they're interacting with everybody else, yeah, that's like another person that you have to take care of, right? So, for somebody in imagination land, right, that's a lot of brain power to expend. So basically, that's what we're doing here. We're using our brain power times 7. A lot of people use like 10% of the brain, right? So imagine using 100% of your brain for all these, well, at least 70% of your brain, right? For these 7 other people, these 7 sisters of purgatory. She's almost, you know, 100% using your brain. So it's going to be a little bit harder for Maria, compared to Maria, sorry. For Angie to do this right off the bat, it's going to be very hard.
恐れながらやはり一度に七姉妹全員の負荷は重すぎるかと。
大丈夫？やっぱりダメかな。権限に全勢力を使っちゃってる。日常生活と両立できないほどの負荷じゃ意味がない。何しろ魔女としてこれじゃちょっと優雅じゃないね。ウリュウ、だからいきなりこんなに大勢は無理だって言った。
You did.
みんな少し姿を消してあげて。
そうね、人数を減らした方が良さそう。アスモ、姿を消しなさい。
See ya, Asmo.
また私？末っ子いじめ反対。たまには上から消えてよ。
それじゃあ私が2番目に消えなきゃならないじゃない。
やだやだやだ。
アスモもレビアネーも騒がないの。そういう騒ぎが余計エンジェ様の負担になるのよ。あんたが
She's
騒
the
ぐと負
loudest
担
one.
になるのよ。バカさ
Right? Seven sisters started arguing over who should vanish first. All the energy of that fight became a burden, imposing an even greater headache upon Angie. Oops. In the end, they decided the order with rock, paper, scissors, and they began to disappear. One of them, 2, 3. 1, 2, buck my shoe. 3, 4, shut the door. Even at that level, Angie was still far from comfortable. In the end, I was finally able to calm my breathing when 6 of them had erased themselves. You can only do 1. With a magical power, forget the 7 sisters. Just one of them is my limit. Mammon it is. Mammon only. Mammy! Mammy!
これじゃあ7姉妹じゃなくて私一人じゃないですか。エンジ様、ちょっと頼りないです。
Mammy, who had won her way through the rock, paper, scissors and received permission to remain until the end, complained, "Is it just a coincidence that we have her stake too? That she won rock, paper, scissors? Really? You would think that, in Angie's mind, she made her win rock, paper, scissors, right? That way, we have the fucking stake. It's gonna be easier on me to only have Mammon up." That's what I think happened. It's called fake magic, guys.
マモ、そんなこと言っちゃダメ。エンジェはまだまだ修行中。大丈夫エンジェ？頭痛大丈夫？
Sakotaro stretched on his tiptoes and did a little hop, trying to pat Angie's head. Watching this, Maria scratched her head, acknowledging that the sudden training had been too difficult.
ちょっと荒行すぎたかな。
A little?
マリア、こ
Maybe
れ
a
く
lot.
らいなら全然平気だけど。友達いっぱいいればいるほど楽しいし。
Yeah, you can't do 7 at once in the fucking first day as a fucking magical witch, right? You can't do
お
that.
姉ちゃんの凄さを改めて思い知るわ。
We're all not like Maria here. We all can't do that shit in our heads. Like a fucking drop of a hat. According to Maria Nechan, when you reach your class, you can even summon enough people at once to make up an orchestra. Holy shit. And yet she calls herself a witch apprentice. That's all inspiring.
大丈夫ですかエンジェ様。
ごめんなさいね。私にはあなた一人を呼び出すのがやっとみたい。
まあ、私はこれでもいいかな。だって7姉妹で私だけがエンジェ様の家具を独り占めだし。
Exactly.
いかがですかエンジェ様。私一人なら不可にはなりませんか？
ええ、あなた一人ならなんとかね。
よかったならいっぱい修行していっぱい魔力を養ってください。そしていつかきっと7姉妹で揃ってお仕えさせてください。
After checking that there was at least nothing wrong with her own manifestation, Madman immediately returned to a good mood and tried to make me promise to work even harder. Yes, I can see the greed in her, but maybe you can also call it positivity. It is positive.
約束するわ。そのくらいはいつかできなくちゃね。
ありがとうエンジェ様。この強欲のママをその日まで必ずエンジェ様にお仕えします。
My headache finally abated, and I relaxed both hands which had been clutching at my head. Then Madman stuck out her hand and helped me to stand back up.
オリュウ。あ、マリア、エンジェ、もうこんな時間だよ。もう部屋に戻らないと叱られる。
Oh, she's in the bathroom. I hadn't expected Sakotaro to talk about the time. I was brought back into reality. Oops, there goes gravity. As though the light had disappeared from it, the vast world sank into the darkness, and I was in a tiny, tiny bathroom stall, sitting on a toilet. One-chan's Grimoire was open in my lap. Damn, that's her new hiding spot? She can't go outside anymore? I looked at the clock. It was almost 8 p.m. Time for lights out. If I show up late for roll call before lights out, not only do they make an annoying fuss about it, but it causes trouble for my roommates and floor mates as well. I couldn't care less about causing them trouble, but I'd rather not have to deal with the annoying interference that would come as a result. Fuck them bitches. Ha! That's the end of my me time for the day. I'll go to bed, wake up, tomorrow will begin another long, long gray colored day will repeat again. Man, is Eva already dead? Cause if she is, why the fuck are you going to school? Pardon me. I mean, you're rich already. You go to school so you can end up being rich, right? So if you're already rich, what the fuck is school for? That's not gonna help you out at all, right? You're already rich. Fuck this shit. Time to get the hell out of here. Especially this school. Like, you go to a regular school, man. Go to a public school. Go to this private fucking prissy bitch school, right? As you're obviously unhappy. Who the hell is keeping you here, right? This is not for you. Eva's no longer alive, so you don't have to go here. You really don't. You can get the fuck up out of here. Tonight. Don't pay the tuition anymore, right? It's your money! You're paying this tuition to go to this fucking school. Get the fuck up out of here. I closed the grimoire and rose from the toilet seat. One-chan appeared again and spoke. You're on the shitter, girl, aren't you? Come on, Angie, get off the shitter.
修行を忘れてるよ。マモンを連れて行って。
I'd forgotten. The moment I returned to reality, I stopped manifesting Mammon. Can't forget Mammy. One more time, I created a strong image of the existence of Mammy in my mind. Mammy on my mind!
エンジ様ったらひどいです。いきなり私を消すなんて。そんなんじゃ、7姉妹を全員呼ぶなんて、なかなかできませんよ。
ごめんなさい。うっかりしてたわ。
人間界に権限するのはすごい久しぶりなので、何から何まで興味深いです。ちょっぴりワクワクしてます。ここはどこですか？
聖ルチーア学園の寮。ここはその共用トイレの個室。各部屋にトイレはあるから、ここには誰も来ない。静かで本を読むにはちょうどいいの。
ここの寮は本を読むにも、トイレの個室に隠れなきゃならないの？文書でもやってるんですか？
I have a double room, so my roommate is always there. Our relationship is strained and it feels like I'm always being ignored. Just read a fucking book, who cares? Ignore her. The atmosphere is bad, so I was not living in a place I can relax. And it's good for her as well. As long as I'm not there, she can go all out, call her friends, and have a chatting party. Fuck that bitch, man. Who the fuck cares what she has to do? It's your room. It's more convenient for her too if I don't return until just before lights out. Nah. Fuck her convenience. That's my room, bitch. You need to fucking work around me. That's my fucking space, right? You're my roommate. You need to fucking recognize here. There's also the library, but the group that uses that as a meeting place is constantly whispering about me. So I don't like to go to the library either. During lunch, it's the bushes behind the school building. During the night, it's the stall and the communal bathroom in the dorms. These are the only hideaways where I can be given peace. I opened the door to the stall and went out. I turned around, signaling with my eyes for Mammon to come with me.
よくわからないけれど、エンジ様にとってとても快適とは言い難い場所だってことが分かったわ。
It sounds like.
早く表に出ましょう。ここの空気。
そう、ここの空気が一番まともなんだけどね。
When I left the bathroom and exited into the corridor, because it was near lights out, all the girls who had gone to play in other rooms were dashing back to their own. When it came time for lights out, we had to change into uniform pajamas that we had hated and called prison clothes. Line up in the hallway and go through the dorm leader's roll call. If by some chance someone were to be late for this, we would be made to take collective responsibility, and all of us floor mates would have to undergo a punishment that went by the name of volunteer work. Doesn't sound too bad, right? As long as I took care to avoid this, the girls would disregard me coldly, but they wouldn't get in my way. That alone was enough for me. Again, why the fuck are you still going to this school? Mammon looked at the passing girls and the furnishings of the dorm with interest. Without paying her any particular attention, I hurried back to my room. In front of my room was my roommate, who had already changed into her prison clothes, chatting with some girls from the room next door. When they noticed me hurrying back, they blatantly changed the topic of their conversation. They lowered their voices, stealing glances at me. I acted like I didn't notice, went into my room, changed, and hurriedly went out into the corridor. Everyone was already lined up.
何これ？ おかしい。
Very weird.
ここってお嬢様学校じゃないの？刑務所みたい。
Yeah, it's like a prison.
バカみたい。
It is
や
dumb.
っぱりそうよね。私もそう思ってるわ。刑務所よりさらに厳しい点は、素行が良くても刑期が短くならない点かしら。
The pitching a bit, I noticed. Having someone to listen to your complaints feels surprisingly good. Fortunately, Mammon's form can only be seen by the summoner, me. And of course, there's no need to speak out loud for this conversation. All I had to do was speak inside my mind so no one can listen in. Magic and the friends created by it might actually not be so bad.
こいつら揃いも揃ってもやしみたい。生きてないって感じ。
やめなさいよ。毎日姿を見られたら大変よ。
I can't see you. You can't see me.
夢も希望もかけらほどもない人間なんて、私の姿なんて
Exact. They can't see me.
見ることもできない下等生物どもが。
あなたはその半魔法の毒素を持つ人間たちがこれほどいる中でも平気なの？
園児様が私を権限させてくださる限りは平気です。ただ私を権限するために常に集中しなければならないでしょうから。ほら、同室の子に呼ばれてません？後ろ宮さん、聞こえてる？
Hell no, I'm not listening to your trifling ass bitch.
来週からの終盤なんだけどさ、ちょっと相談があって。
Okay. Probably about pushing a few more chores onto me. This bitch. My bitch roommate, who normally would never even look me in the eye, was smiling at me like a bitch, unpleasantly. But I'll have much easier time having the weekly duty pushed onto me and doing it alone rather than being forced to do it with this bitch. That's a small price to pay to have her continue to ignore me. Yet, after the shameless excuses, she transitioned into pushing a completely different point, insisting on flipping the issue on its head, as if I should have come forward and done it on my own initiative. One of the special traits of this academy is that it's full of girls who don't know how to ask for a favor.
何この子、ムカつく。眉間に思いっきり私の杭をねじ込んでやりたい。
そうね。ぜひ今度お願いするわ。
There you go. Yeah. Having a friend nearby all the time to complain to makes me happier than I thought it would. The seven sisters really were lively when they were all gathered together. I'm sure that just watching them mess around would be a lot of fun. I've decided I'll do all I can to quickly gain the magical power to summon all the seven sisters at once. And then I'll keep training more and more and more and summon the thing I really want to summon.
園児様が本当に召喚したいものって何ですか？
Mammon noticed my conversation with myself inside my head and asked about it blankly. I hesitated over whether to talk about it, but then I thought it wasn't anything to hide and told her.
家族よ。お父さん、お母さん、お兄ちゃん。
それってつまり死者の魂？ 異界の住人を呼び出すのは召喚だけど、死者の魂を呼び戻すのは反言で、それは全くの別物。反言はかなりの大魔法のはずですよ。
I know. So much so that even Rio Nechan can't do it at all. But that's the thing I most want to call with magic. I've been warned that it's a very difficult high-level magic. So great that in the worst case, I might not necessarily reach that point even after training for my whole life. Furthermore, I have no vessel. A vessel is something vital for making magic succeed, whether it be summoning or resurrection. So now we want to be the Full Metal Alchemist, you know, resurrect our mother, our dead mother. Literally, right? So that's something that's, you know, always a taboo. And it's always like it never happens without a catch, right? So they spoilers for Full Metal Alchemist, they summoned their dead mother, lost their bodies and their souls in the process. And then she didn't even resurrect the right way, right? She resurrected to a certain extent. It was just her, like, pretty much her body, you know, resurrected, not her soul, not her, it didn't look like her mother, right? It looked like a rib cage and fucking, some eyes and shit. It looked like that fucking monster, basically. So they had to rebury the fucking, the thing they summoned. And in the process, they lost their fucking body. Ed lost his body. Alphonse lost his body and his soul. So, Ed had to, like, you know, use one of his hands that was still there attached. Like, he lost his leg and his arm. He had to use another one of his arms to resummon Al's soul and bind it to a fucking suit of armor after trying to resurrect your mother. So that's not going to work, probably.